Hey, what's going on? Keith from Trigger Happy. Going to talk about food prepping today and some of the things that I've been doing, and I just brought a few things out here to talk about, and we're going to talk about essentially what you can be doing to get your family ready to get through some kind of a disaster crisis, and kind of cheap and easy ways to do that. First rule when it comes to food prepping, we're talking about survival. We're talking about sustaining your way of life for your family, whether it be for a week or a month or longer. So if you're somebody like me that might be, say, a frequent dieter for whatever reason, whether it's for building muscle, losing fat, losing weight in general, whatever, you kind of got to throw that out the window. So if you're somebody that maybe you're on a strict low carbohydrate diet, do not prep that way when it comes to buying things for your family. That stuff goes out the window, you know. If you're somebody that's a low-fat person, again, goes out the window. So, rule one of food prepping, you need to buy stuff that is quality, you need to buy it in quantity, and you need to buy things that are going to give you plenty of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, proteins, complex carbohydrates, and so on. So that's what we're looking for. What you buy depends upon your plan. So if your plan is to stay at home for as long as possible, you can buy a lot of canned goods. Now, I've mentioned in other videos, I have young kids in the house, so you know, I can pick up a lot of these Campbell's condensed soups for very inexpensive. Can pick up, you know, SpaghettiOs and things like that. The good thing about these are, this has approximately an 18-month shelf life. And I buy a lot of these because they last for a decent amount of time, and when it gets towards the end of their life, my kids will just eat them. So it's not like I'm buying stuff that's going to waste. They're, you know, we're going to use these one way or the other. So in my mind, you're doing two things. You're buying groceries in general for your family, and then you're getting things that, for me, my kids will like. I do buy a lot of soups, and I don't always buy name brand, but a lot of times you can get specials on these and buy a bunch of them for pretty inexpensive. There again, about an 18-month shelf life on most canned soups. The good thing about canned soup, it's filling. Something like steak and potato, there's good carbohydrates, there's good protein, there's fat in there, which you do need. Not a lot, but there's some. You know, you're gonna get some good life out of a good can of soup like that. You know, I buy a lot of canned fruit, and you can buy canned fruit in giant containers, which I'll do at kind of the warehouse club places sometimes for pretty inexpensive. And the good thing there again about canned fruit, it's hard to see these. This one has, it's about 18 months as well on a shelf life on these. And there again, we'll use this stuff. So you know, if you buy things that you eat all the time and use it for your prepping purposes, that's great, because you're going to use it one way or the other. Again, good thing about fruit, lots of essential vitamins in mixed fruit that you need, good carbohydrates for energy and things like that. Also, you want to stock some meat, and I didn't bring any veggies out here, but I do buy a lot of canned vegetables as well. I do stock some meat. This stuff keeps for longer than you'd think. Between 2 and 2.5 years. This is just Walmart brand chunk chicken breast. Mix in with, you know, whatever you might be making, whether it's rice or potatoes or whatever. And it's pretty decent. Good for protein and things. It's inexpensive. You can buy a lot of cans of these. Everybody likes chicken. No, it's not as good as, you know, the stuff you're going to prepare on Sunday afternoon. But in a pinch, this stuff works great. And you can buy it, again, very inexpensively. So, another thing, peanut butter. I'll buy a jar of peanut butter probably every month or two. It's on my list. These have approximately a 2-year shelf life. And I tend to buy the smaller jars, one, because peanut butter can be expensive, and two, because we will use it, or I will donate it to a food pantry or something, because as of right now I have like 9 of these. So when we get towards the end of that, I'll make a donation or use what we can. But again, I like Jif, so I buy Jif. That's what we like normally, so I buy that for prepping purposes as well. For the simple fact that, you know, if there's not a major calamity, I don't like buying food to throw away. I like buying what I will eat. And I know a lot of people that go through and do some of this prepping, buy a ton of stuff and a huge variety of things, which we do as well. But a lot of it, again, canned goods, you got 18 months to maybe maximum of 36 months shelf life on that stuff. So what are you going to do with it when it's up? You know, you're rotating your food. Are you throwing away what is left over? I'd rather use it. You know, if I'm paying for it, I'd rather use it at some point. So everything I buy bags of rice, and I just brought a small one in here. I generally buy them in 25 or even 50-pound bags at, again, like a Sam's Club, Costco type place. You can pick these up for 80 cents to maybe $1.50 depending upon where you're at. I see this one apparently has a hole in it, so I'll have to get rid of it. But nevertheless, rice is a good staple. You can put rice in just about anything, mix it in, and it's easy to store, especially if you buy it in large quantities. That's a 2-pound bag there, and it's like I say, has about, you can store for a couple years just in its regular bag, or longer in other ways. 16 bean soup, ton of different beans. I'm not a big bean guy, but this is a lot of fiber, a lot of protein, and it comes with some flavoring and things there. But it's good for you know, to have around in the event of a crisis. If you gotta eat it, you can make do. And there's a good variety of stuff in there. A lot of carbs in beans. There's 21 grams of carbs per serving, and that is a 1/4 cup dry. So carbohydrates is a big thing to take into account. Another thing, if I'm not staying at home, or if I'm staying at home, I've been buying a lot of these Wise Company MREs, Meals Ready to Eat. That's a 4-serving. There's a stroganoff. They come with, you know, there's a chili macaroni. I've got a lot of these. And you can pick these up individually, or it's best, like there's diced apples. There are all kinds of fruit. There is oatmeals. There is drink mixes. There's whey milk. You can buy whole packs of buckets of meat. And the good thing about these are, they're expensive on one hand. That's not the good thing. The good thing is they last a long time. It says a 25-year shelf life. And, you know, in 25 years, that's a pretty good value to, you know, you're going to pay a fair amount for these. I think a bucket, this prepper pack that I've got here, it's 52 servings, running about $80 to $90, I would guess, in a retail setting, which is quite expensive for 52 servings. So a family of 4, that's around, you know, you could maybe stretch it to 2 weeks, but most likely that's about 10 days worth of food. The good thing about it is that whole bucket doesn't weigh a lot. It's a 5-pound bucket. So in a bug out bag type situation, I can store a fair amount of food in a bug out bag to get me from point A to point B. One thing that a lot of YouTube channels don't discuss when it comes to food prepping is you have to have a way to actually prepare it. And in my household, we have a gas furnace, but when we bought the house, it had an electric range and cooktop. So one of the first things I did was change that out to gas. I don't know why they built our house that way, but they did. So with gas, most of the time a disaster is not going to affect your gas, the transmission of gas. Power outages generally don't affect it, but there are, if there's an earthquake or things like that, you can certainly go without gas or a long-term freeze. So you want to have other methods of being able to cook this stuff. I always keep an extra propane tank for my gas grill. Most of these things either need heated or mixed with water. So you need a way to heat that stuff up. So a gas grill is another good way to be able to cook on. So I always keep, obviously, a propane tank in it and then an extra one around for that type of event. You need to have another backup. I buy the small propane, like camping stoves. You can put maybe a 2 quart, 3 quarts, whatever you need to cook on it in a pot and heat it up that way. The only problem with those are they don't last a long time, but in that kind of situation, that's not really what you're looking for. The last way I keep a fair amount of firewood around here, and no, I do not burn wood for heat. It's simply for campfire type, and you can definitely cook over it. You just have to have the right equipment and be able to use that for cooking. So it's great to have all this food, but if you don't have a way to prepare it, it's essentially worthless. Most people don't want to eat cold soup. You'll do it if you have to, but for morale purposes, you want to have a way to prepare it and serve it like it's intended to be. So think about that when you're out buying things. Do I have redundant means of preparing this stuff? If you're relying on an electric range or stove, you need to look into another means, if not two, like I've done, to make sure that when it comes time to use it, you have a way to do so. So these are just some of the things I'm doing. We'll talk more about budgeting and things, but my best advice when it comes to buying food, have a list, and every time you go to the store, just buy 2 or 3 items. Buy 3 cans of soup and 2 bags of rice, or 4 cans of beans and 2 cans of tuna or chicken or something like that. And before you know it, you will have a fairly substantially stocked pantry. So then the fun of rotating and things like that comes in, but it's not real hard to get a pretty good stock pantry, and you certainly don't have to buy brand name stuff. You can buy all kinds of generics, which I do from time to time depending upon what sales are running. I know sometimes you go to the store and you can pick up 10 cans of these for like $4 or something. I've found tons of sales like that, 10 for 10 on pretty good stuff. So just check it out. So I hope this has been somewhat helpful to you. Again, I'm just kind of starting in, and I just grabbed a few things off the shelf, so wanted to share with you what I'm doing, and we'll go from there. This is Keith from Trigger Happy. We'll see you next time. Thanks.